going to talk to us. Oh, perfect recording. So Megan is going to talk to us a little bit about some personality types. So we kind of know a little bit about the color personalities. And so what she's going to talk about tonight is a little different from the color personalities. She'll explain a little bit about what it is, how it really helped her as a person, but then also when she applied it to this business and her leadership. So I am personally stoked to hear about all of this because I think it's going to help me so much. If you've not gotten like a pen and paper, you're definitely going to want to do that because this is going to be really helpful. So Megan, take it away, girlfriend.
Woo! Okay, I am so excited. I'm also slightly nervous because sometimes I get word vomit. So thank you for your prayers, Morgan. I appreciate it. There are so many new faces on here. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Megan. I live in Hawaii, but I moved here from Colorado in July. And I found this business through Morgan in August. So when I moved to Hawaii, I got so many messages that were, oh my God, you live in Hawaii. That's so amazing. You live in paradise. That is so awesome. And it was, but I was struggling really hard, and a lot of people really didn't know that. I have leaky gut syndrome, which is a disorder that your body is hyperreactive to enzymes and proteins. And so when you eat certain foods, it destroys your stomach and intestinal lining. So I have a lot of things that I can't eat. But when I moved here, I was so broke that the only thing that I could afford was ramen noodles and granola bars. And I was in literal physical pain. I didn't have a car, and I was biking 4.5 miles to work and 4.5 miles back in the middle of July and August. It was really rough. I did not live in a good place. Cleanliness was such a huge issue, and I've struggled with mental health for a really long time. And I just got to a point where I said, God, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to move on. I just need you to help me find something to get me out of this rut. And I'm going to get emotional because I'm an ESFJ, and you'll learn what that means later. But I discovered this business at the perfect time in my life. And I'm so thankful that God used Morgan to bring It Works into my life. And when I joined, I was like so on fire. I, enrolled my first 4 customers in 24 hours. I was like, heck yeah, I'm so in this. And then I just kind of let everything fall apart. And I was going from averaging, executive pay to a $14 paycheck. And I really was struggling because I wanted this business to work so badly, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't in the right mindset, and I was letting all of the external things in my life, my financial situation, I was letting my home life, I was letting my frustrations with work just take over, and I put my business on the back burner. And there was really one thing that kind of flipped that for me, and I'll talk more about that later, but the root of it was the Myers-Briggs personality test. How many of you have heard of the Myers-Briggs test? Put a 1 in the chat so I know kind of who's on the same page. Okay, a lot of you. Me from you. And then if you guys have heard of the, yes, Karina, yes, you are. If you have heard of the color personality test, drop a 2 in the chat. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Probably everybody, even Mark Pentecost, our CEO, has talked about it. So what I'm kind of going to go over tonight is color versus Myers-Briggs, why they're important to know that, and then how to apply them to your own life as well as the lives of your team so that you guys can grow strong together. So I discovered Myers-Briggs several years ago. My mom and my sister and I are all very different personalities, and we butt heads a lot. And growing up, we fought a lot because we didn't understand who each other was. And so they got really into the test, and they were like, take the test, take the test, take the test. I was like, if you guys say Myers-Briggs one more time, I'm gonna lose it. I'm not taking the test. I'm not into that. That's not my thing. Well, a couple weeks later, I broke down and I took the test, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so spot on. This makes so much sense. And now I totally understand who I am and how I work as a person. And then I read my sister's personality, and we were like, duh, hello, no wonder we fought so much. I read my mom's, it was like, no wonder we fought so much. So understanding who you are and how you're hardwired is very important, because it helps you to be conscious of your strengths. And I don't like to call them weaknesses, but the things that you need to improve on. So that's what we're going to go over tonight. So kind of how the two personality tests work together. And when we post the recording in the team page, I will post the links of the test so that you guys can go and take them. But if you think of a human being as a machine, not in an emotional sense, but just in a conceptual sense, your color is your machine type. So you're a yellow machine, a blue machine, a green machine, or a red machine. And then your Myers-Briggs personality is your 5 letters, and those are the different gears that make up the composition of your machine and determine how that machine is going to function or how to operate. So you might be a yellow machine, but you might be an ESFJ or a 2.0. Or you might be an ISFJ or a 3.0. I know that might seem a little confusing, and I'll break it down a little bit more, but is that making sense to you guys? Yes, no, yes? Okay, head nods is good. So when you look at the color personality test, I have some notes because I'm a yellow-green. So your yellows, those are the people that are supporting, nurturing, helpful, multitaskers, people-oriented, okay? Your blues are your fun-loving, you're adventurous, they're really good at sales, they're popular, they're the life of the party, they're loud, okay? So a lot of times you'll have people that are a blue-yellow combo, okay? You also have a lot of yellow-green combos, which are your logical, your organized, your researchers, your facts, and your details. And then last but not least, you've got your reds, which they're all about personal growth, recognition, competition, inspiration, and they're usually very money driven as well. So if you guys know what your colors are, drop your dominant color. I'm a yellow in the chat. I want to see, yes, Jacob is a blue, Tara's a yellow, Carly is so red. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So it's good that a lot of you guys already know your colors. And if you don't have any idea yet, Ryan, that's okay. I'm going to post the link to the color personality test so you can find that out. And then once you know your color, then you can be all of them, Stephanie. Everybody has a dominant color. So who you are to your core and the essence of your personality, that's not ever going to change. You can become more of a developed person, and you can be, a little more green than you used to be, but the core of who you are is never going to change. Everybody's going to have a dominant color, and everybody's going to have dominant letters. So how the Myers-Briggs personality test works is it breaks your personality down into 5 different categories. So you have letter combinations. So the first one is, you've heard it all the time, I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert. So introverted and extroverted is the first type. And that's not actually, people think it's how you interact with people, but it's actually not. It's where you get your mental energy from. So your extroverts, you feel more recharged at the end of the day by being around people, by being able to connect with others. So, if you've had a long day of work and you're like, man, I just got to go out with my friends and dance and have a drink, then you're more extroverted. If you're an introvert, you're going to be like, man, today was a long day. I'm so tired of talking to people. I just need to go home, have a glass of wine and a bubble bath, and I'll be good. So it's your mental energy. And then the second part is sensing versus intuition. So it's the S versus N letters. Your sensing people, those are ones that are focused in the here and now. They like facts and details, practical thinking. They're very literal, and they're all about the senses, things that they can see, touch, taste, hear, and feel. Okay, then your intuitive people, those are your big picture thinkers. When you meet someone, you're like, man, they're so intuitive. They so got me. They knew how to read me right off the bat. They think of ideas and concepts rather than facts and figures. They're very poetic. A lot of your artists and your singers and your musicality people, a lot of them are going to be intuitives, and they are more of like your, I guess you would call it your sixth sense thinkers. Rather than not needing something tangible, they can look, ahead and think big picture, if that makes sense. Then your third combination is thinking versus feeling. This one should be pretty easy to guess. Your T's, those are going to be your logical, your analytical. They love to argue. They love to debate. They think in value and justice and fairness. Then if you think of your feelers, which is totally me, an emotional and feeler doesn't always mean a bad thing. It's a very good thing. But your decisions are made on how it affects others. You value harmony and forgiveness. I see a lot of head nods, so we have a lot of F's. You're warm, you're empathetic, and you make your decisions based off of other people, okay? The fourth one is judging versus perceiving. And you can kind of think of this as your, if you hear, oh, I'm so type A, or man, she's so type B, it's kind of like that same thing. So your J's, your judgers, are your type A people. They like structure, they like organization, they like to make plans. They're usually the mom of your group that will herd everybody and tell everybody kind of what to do. They're also natural born leaders. And then your P's, or your perceivers, are your more laid back, your go with the flow, your improv people. They're spontaneous. They love surprises. They don't really care about making plans. They'll just, we'll kind of do what we're going to do. Then the last one, and that's why the test link that I'm going to send is one of the only ones I found that does this last breakdown, is T versus A, which is turbulent versus assertive. And it's how concretely you make your decisions. If you're a turbulent person, you feel like you have an itch to scratch. You're very self-conscious. You might be labeled as a perfectionist. You have to constantly weigh out your options. You have to talk to your mom and your boyfriend and your brother and your roommate before you make a conscious decision. If you're assertive, you're calm, you're relaxed, you're worry-free, and you're decisive. You're like, nope, I'm going with my gut. This is what I'm going to do. Okay? See a lot of head nods out there. I am definitely not an A. I'm such a turbulent person. So my letters, if you can't tell, I am an E and an F. I'm an ESFJ T. And so what those letters put together, they make up your personality. So even though, like, I'm just going to use, Morgan as an example because I know her letters off the top of my head. So she's an ENFJ. I'm an ESFJ. Our letters sound really similar, but that N and that S, those two are pretty opposite. A lot of them are pretty opposite, but what's good about me understanding who I am and how I work as a person, how Morgan is and how she works as a person, is we consciously know how we are complementary to each other, because Morgan doesn't think in the same way. She doesn't lead in the same way. She doesn't run her business in the same way that I do. You have to find what works for you, and then you have to come together with your team to figure out what's going to work best for them. And I'll kind of go over that in a little bit. So with your letters, what's really important is to, and it takes some time. I've studied this for months. So like, I know what an ISTP and an INFJ and an ESFJ, and you're thinking, oh my God, so many letters, I can't listen to all that. And I know what they all are because I've studied them. I've I've read a book and I've studied them, so I know them very well. But when you take your test and you read your results, it's so imperative that you read your results, and then you read your results, and then you read your results. Because when you read a textbook and you're like, wait, I just read the paragraph and I didn't understand what the heck it said. I got to read it 2 more times before I can get this down for a test, right? So when you read through your profile, what's so great about this test is it breaks it down into different categories for you. So if you go to, I'll type it in the chat. Okay, but it's 16personalities.com. Okay, 16personalities.com. It's about 100 questions. It really only takes you about 10 minutes to take it. And then the results, the way that this website particularly breaks it down, it's my favorite. It's also cartoon themed, so it makes it more fun. But the way that it breaks down the test is the first page, it'll give you, sorry to burp, it'll give you an overview of your results, and on the side it'll show you a percentage of how E to I you are, how F to J that you are. So like, I probably take the test just because I'm so into it, probably every 6 months, and my letters never, ever, ever change. But I go back and I look at the percentages and I'm like, wow, I am so less of a J than I used to be, which means I'm a little bit less flexible. I'm a little bit more flexible. I'm a little bit more go with the flow than I used to be. And so when you're understanding your letters and how you work and how you function, you become conscious of the things that you're like, wow, I'm really good at this. And you're like, okay, I'm not so really good at that. And I'll kind of break down my letters for you in a second so you can kind of see what that means. But the way that the test breaks it down is it gives you that synopsis, just like an overview, and then it'll give you percentages. It'll also tell you the celebrities and fictional characters that you were most like. And if you can't tell, I'm a Monica and a Leslie. All my Parks and Recs and Friends fans. So then the next part, it'll break down for you your strengths, and I don't like the word weaknesses. I like to call them improvements, but it'll break down your strengths and weaknesses. Your letter type combination has a specific combination of your strengths and weaknesses. Then it'll also break down for you your friendships, your romantic relationships, your parenting style. So if you're not a parent yet, I would still read that so that you can be like, oh, that's how I'll be as a parent. That's pretty cool. It'll also break down your workplace habits and career paths, which, you know, that's what's so great about this business is, you know, Morgan does this full time. This is her career path, but you might be a nurse and you might just need this for your extra income. And you might look at this and be like, heck yeah, it says I should be a nurse. I picked a good career path. So like, this test is going to be so beneficial for you in so many different ways. So when you take the test, again, read through your profile, read through it again, because your strengths and weaknesses are going to be the point where you'll need to focus on the most, is really understanding to the core the things that you are naturally good at and the things that you're going to have to push yourself to be better at. Okay. Your strengths and weaknesses are super important and very, very connected to your letters, because you could be a healthy version of yourself or an unhealthy version of yourself. I told Megan I was both judging and perceiving. Yes, okay, yes. Thank you, Morgan. So you can be a healthy version of yourself and you can be an unhealthy version of yourself. So when you're looking at those percentages, if you're like super F and you have like this much T, that's where people might say like, oh my God, she's so emotional. She just like cries all the time. And that used to be me. I used to be a very, very hard P. And then I took the test again and I was slightly less F. So when you're doing your self-development and you're becoming a more well-rounded person and you're strengthening the things that are weak, and then the things that are too strong, you're kind of dialing back lit. That's where your percentages in the test are going to change. And especially if you look at the extroverted versus introverted, if you're like a 51 to 49, like Morgan is on that kind of scale, I'm a 51 extrovert. And surprisingly, I'm a 49% introvert. Like, I'm pretty balanced. That's okay. You want to be as more balanced as you can. So if you look at your test results and your S and your N are pretty close, and you're good. You don't really have to be conscious heavily to work on that. But if your F and your T or your J and your P are so far apart, then that's where you'll know you need to focus, to work a little bit harder to, they don't use X anywhere, work a little bit harder to balance those out. So when you are a healthy version of yourself, your percentages are going to be closer together. You're going to be more well-balanced, more well-rounded. And if you are an unhealthy version of yourself, then you're going to be too far apart. Like I said, the core of who you are is never going to change, but the more self-development that you're doing, and that can look like so many different things. It could be reading a book, listening to a podcast. It could be exercise. I mean, it could be a lot of different things for a lot of different people. But for me, it's journaling. And I've posted a lot on my stories. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you've seen I do a lot of journaling. I used to not be very good at journaling. I was like the stick figure girl in all my high school notebook doodles. But I started copying people off of Pinterest, and then just making my hand get used to that. So if you want to get into journaling, we can talk more about that later. But there was one day in particular where it was back in December and my paycheck had plummeted. Basically everybody on my team quit. All of my customers turned off their auto shipments, even both of my parents. And I was like, poop, what am I going to do? And my aunt was moving to the island from DC. And so I was really like putting all my focus into just finding somewhere safe and clean and affordable for us to live. And I forgot about the business. And Morgan reached out to me one day and she said, hey, how's everything going? How's the move? And I basically just broke down. I was like, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm losing it. My business is failing and I want this so badly, but I don't know how to get back on track. And I know that a lot of you have felt that way, or you are currently feeling that way. And that's okay. That's normal. That's going to happen in this business. So if you're feeling like that, please, please, please don't give up. Don't get so discouraged that you feel like you can't keep going, because you can. And the thing that helped me do that was Morgan said, take a deep breath and try to calm yourself down. I know that's easier said than done, but what I want you to do is I want you to get out your journal. So I'm going to challenge you guys to do this week. If you guys are, stuck at home or you're out of work and you got a lot of free time, keep doing your messaging, keep working your business, but I want you to consciously sit down and take some time to do this. And it doesn't have to all be in one day. It doesn't have to all be in one sitting, but take some time to really focus and relax. And I want you to get out a journal. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Honestly, it could just be notes on your phone. Okay. It doesn't have to, if you're not super creative like me, it doesn't have to be like that. But I'm going to show you my journal. I'm opening my heart and I'm being raw and real, which is hard for an ESFJ to do. Okay. But you've got to push yourself to be that. You've got to be open and honest with people. Okay. Or you're not going to be able to grow. So I took my journal, and on the left-hand side, I doodled, I wrote, I made like a checklist of all of the things that I was stressing about, that were freaking me out, that I felt like I had no control over. I doodled them. Then on the other side, she had me break it down into 2 columns. Out of all the things that I wrote down on that left-hand side, what are the things that I can control? And what are the things that I can't control? So I'm just going to share with you real quick. The things that I wrote I can control is my reactions and my thoughts and my feelings. What I can't control is how others react or they think or they feel. And that's something that you've always got to keep in the forefront of your mind. You're going to get a lot of no's. It's just going to happen. And you can't worry about the things that people say. You just move on. Okay? Second thing is I can control how I divide and devote and spend my time. What I can't control is how fast time moves. I've really struggled with that, where I felt like everything was moving so fast around me and I was getting so caught up in trying to focus on every little thing that I just got overwhelmed, and I said, whoa, I gotta stop. And so if you need to do that, if you feel like you're stuck or you're behind, or you feel like you don't have enough time for yourself. If you are like me and you put everybody else before you and then you get so drained because you have no energy left for yourself, stop, take a deep breath, and say, no, you know what? I need to focus on myself right now. I need to do one thing that is going to make me and me alone feel better. And that's okay to do that. I had to do that a bazillion times. So the next thing is what I can control is the energy that I allow to pass inward and outward. So I'm very in tune with energies, which is very different for me because I'm not an intuitive person. I work more on touch, taste, feel. But I started changing my mindset to be more positive. Instead of everybody else is promoting around me, I'm not getting any customers, I'm messaging and it's not working. What am I doing wrong? I started thinking, I'm going to keep messaging because I know that for every 6 no's that I get, I'm going to get a yes. And I started thinking, man, she promoted above me. That's awesome. She's working hard and I can see that and I want to be like her. So you can't keep focusing on what everybody else is doing and pushing yourself down and saying, I'm not doing that, so this is not going to work for me. If you keep having a mindset like that, you're just going to be stuck. You're going to become complacent. You're going to let the negative thoughts overtake you, and then your business is going to go nowhere. And I know it's easier said than done, but being positive is always going to bring more positive things in your life than if you're thinking negatively, that'll bring the negative things in. So the next thing I wrote was, I can control my It Works paycheck. What I can't control is my Timbers paycheck, my work paycheck. I can't control that. What I can control is my It Works paycheck. So I am going to put in the effort and the energy, and I am going to, thank you. See, I get distracted. I am going to focus my energy on this because this is what I want my paycheck to be. Morgan's not going to make me this paycheck. Emily's not going to make me this paycheck. Jacob's not going to make me this paycheck. I'm going to make me this paycheck. I can control what I make because I am going to put in the effort. Okay? Does any of that make sense? Yes? A lot of head nods? Good? Okay. I just want to make sure I'm not just like talking to myself here. So that's what Morgan told me to do, is write down all the things that are stressing you out. Oh, it's starting to rain and it's very humid. I'm getting so hot in here. Whew. But then what I decided to do is I decided I was going to break down my letters. So I wrote down E, S, F, J. And then I wrote down my strengths about each letter and my improvements about each letter. So again, I'm going to be open and real because we got some time, and I'm going to tell you, especially if you're ESFJ, this is going to be super easy for you. For those of you that are not an ESFJ, it might take a little bit of extra work. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put my cell phone number in the chat. And if you are like super, super into this, or you just want to be like, oh my God, Megan, I took my test results, and like, blah, blah, blah. Like, if you want someone to help you understand this better, you can text me at any time. I may not always respond because remember, I'm 6 hours behind East Coast time. But if you want to talk more Myers-Briggs, I'm always open to talk about that. So I'm going to drop it in the chat. If you don't have my number, save it. But I'm going to break down my letters for you real quick. So as an extrovert, we're an E. I'm really good at connecting with people. I'm very service oriented, and I'm driven to help others. But the things that I struggle with is channeling my energy wisely. I put my energy into too many different things at once, and I get overwhelmed. And I struggle with allowing myself to take care of myself. So I need to consciously, schedule more self-care and like be more diligent about my self-development, is to get my emotions on the right track. And I'm doing this just so that you guys understand why I'm breaking down my letters, is to get you thinking about the kind of things that you guys should be journaling As an S, as a sensitive person, I'm focused on present life. I'm not always worried about the future. I'm not always focused about the future. I'm loyal, comforting, trustworthy. I'm eager to share. But I'm also very inflexible. I need to be more conscious of stop being so black and white all the time, right and wrong. This is how it's supposed to be more fluid and more open-minded, and to think more of in a gray area instead of this is how it's supposed to be. Think of this is how it is for me, but that may not always be how it is for other people. I'm also not really great at taking criticism. So when, people tell me that I'm doing something wrong or that I need to improve on something, I always feel attacked, and I take that to heart. And I have learned to become less like that in terms of taking it as you're doing something wrong, as you're doing great, but you're going to be so much better if you do it like this. Then as my F, I'm really good at being fluid with words when I am thinking clearly. I am driven by faith and love and family, and I have a warm smile. But also as an F, as a feeler, I get overwhelmed very easily. I'm very triggered by negativity, and I get hyper emotional under stress. So that is one of the areas the most that I've had to really consciously focus on, is stop letting my emotions control me and start taking control of my emotions. And then as a J, as a judger, I'm very organized, detail-oriented, clearly, structured, dutiful, and a natural leader. But sometimes that can come off as, I hate the word bossy, but it can come off as over assertive, inflexible, judgmental. And I know this is going to be a lot of mic drop for a lot of J's. We are procrastinators. We thrive under organization and details, but when we feel overwhelmed, that's the first thing that we don't have control of, is we're procrastinators. Oh, I'll do it later. I'll get organized and then I'll do it. And I feel like that's where a lot of us in this business are feeling like we're struggling, is we think, oh, I have this, and this to do, so I'll just do the business when I get home. Oh, I'll just do this when I'm watching TV. I'll just do this right before bed. But I've started getting up most days at 5:30 in the morning, and you're like, girl, you're crazy. But when I made that sacrifice to sleep in, and I got up and I had my skinny brew and I got out my journal and I turned on my Lauren Daigle and I spent some time with the Lord in my journal, and I really just started to assess where my head was at and where my heart was at and where I needed to go from there, I am a completely different person. Like, I went to conference, you guys, and normally I would be like, okay, where are we going? What time? Everybody needs to be out of the house by this time, in your seats. This is where we're going. This is what we're doing. And I got there and I was like, I'm just going to go. I've never been here before. I don't know what I'm doing. Y'all just do it. And Zoe said to me, she goes, I am so proud of you. And I was like, because I'm being so P, right? And she was like, so P. I'm so proud of you. And if I would have gone to conference and it would have been in November and I would have gone, yes. And then Morgan is the same way. But like, if I had gone to conference in December, I so would have been like that. And everybody would have been like, Megan, just chill. It's going to happen how it's going to happen. But I went and I was go with the flow. And I was able to put myself in the mindset of, instead of getting everybody there and making sure everybody else was listening and getting what they needed out of it, I got what I needed out of it. And I have grown so much more as a person, and I have become much happier, much more organized, and I got my newbie fire back. And I feel like a lot of us that have been in the business for a while, we had that newbie fire when we joined. We were like, heck yeah, I'm on fire. I just got, 4 LCs in the last 6 hours or whatever Morgan does, and we had that. And then we let it dissipate. And then we just said, oh, that's it. But thank you, Jacob. But to get your newbie fire back, understanding who you are, how you operate, and where you keep going wrong is the key to get yourself back on track. Because if you don't know where you're going wrong, then you're just going to keep doing the wrong thing. So you've got to be super conscious and super understanding of where you keep going wrong so that you can get back on track. Also in my journaling, what I do next to it is I write down my affirmations. And after I did this breakdown, I started noticing my affirmations changed. So as a yellow, back to colors, as a yellow, I am very in tune with people, and I'm very loving and understanding. And that's what I felt like a lot of my journaling was about. Like, I am doing this for the customers. I'm not doing this for me. Like, I'm doing this to connect with people. I am loved. You know, like I was affirming the things that I already knew, and I was affirming the things that were already true. But I started journaling opposite of myself. And I started journaling things that were pushing me to be different than myself. So I started writing things like, I'm channeling my energy properly and expelling the negative and welcoming the positive. I'm a very impatient person, and I started writing things like, I'm patient in the chaos. I'm breathing through it. I'm praying through it, and I'm smiling in the midst of it. I'm learning to be a better problem solver, breaking down the steps 1, 2, and 3. So I started changing my journaling, and I was challenging myself to start doing the things that made me uncomfortable and started doing the things that were going to challenge my business. So like, if you're a yellow and you keep journaling things, I am loved, I'm doing this to help people. Like, if you just keep writing those things over and over again, you're already doing what you already know. So I would challenge you yellows to start journaling like a red, and start being blunt and honest with yourself, and start being more conscious of your paycheck and the money you want to make and the promotion that you want to hit and how you're going to do that. Okay. If you are a blue and you're just like, yeah, this is awesome, people come do this with me, but you're getting lost in the step-by-step process of how you're going to do that, start journaling like a green. Start journaling, okay, every day I'm going to do this, 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 and this. Get a planner out and start writing how to make checklists for yourself. So if you're not organized, your business is going to get better if you get organized. If you're hyper organized and you get stressed because you're not accomplishing what you need to accomplish, then you need to start taking a chill pill and taking some time for yourself. So swap affirmation. And then I also want you to start writing gratitudes. So write your affirmations, but every day start writing your gratitudes. Start writing the things that you are thankful for. And one of the things that I wrote in that gratitude afterwards, and like, this makes it sound so trivial and so stupid and so silly, but you know what I wrote is, I'm thankful for a clean apartment. I'm thankful for a clean apartment. It seems so simple, but after the nightmare that I went through, it is so huge to have a stress-free and clean place to call home. So you have to remember, is when you're talking to customers, when you're talking to potential distributors, is, you know, not everybody is going to be super gung-ho, and not everybody's going to be like, yes, I'm so in. They might be a green, and they might need to think about their, you know, they might need to think about it for a while. Or, you know, not everybody is in a financially sound situation to even order a 30 BV order. So don't always assume that everybody has money, and don't always assume that everybody doesn't have money. You know how I paid for my kit? Is I saved up the $5 tips that I got for checking people in at the front desk. I put them in my bra at work, and then I got home and I put them in an envelope underneath my mattress, and I didn't touch it. And Morgan kept saying, are you ready? Are you ready to go? And I'm like, nope, but I'm saving up and I'm gonna get there. And then I got a huge tip, and I was able to get that $99, and I joined. I made it the forefront of my thing. I worked hard for it. And I kept going and I kept going and I kept going. And then as things started to slip, I really needed to reality check myself. I don't want to read this to you because it is, makes my heart raw, and it's really scary for me to read this, but I'm going to do it anyway because I feel like a lot of you might need to mic drop your own selves like I'm about to mic drop myself. So after I did that, I wrote myself this letter, and if you went to conference or you watched the video that was posted in Dare to Be Diamond of the letter that Ashley Mayfield wrote to herself, this is very similar to that. And so when she read that, I lost it. I cried because I'm a feeler. But I wrote this, and it says, "Dear Megan, why are you so afraid? Why are you holding back? Why are you letting fear control you? Guess what? The excuse queen has come back to life. Looks like you buried her alive instead of killing her for good. And you didn't make her go away forever. She came back. So what are you going to do? Are you going to get serious about your business? Or are you just going to keep floating along? All of these girls and these guys around you are working so hard, and they're supporting you, and they're supporting your business, and you are letting them down. You are hurting yourself by not working. And guess what? Your paycheck's plummeting. It's going to keep going down. So when are you going to step up and make it skyrocket? Because the longer you wait, the harder it's going to get. So get serious. Get up, get organized, and start making the small sacrifices and start focusing on your business. It's your job. It's not your side business. It's your job. So excuse my language. Stop half-assing it and let your potential show. And when I did that, guess what I did? I found Jacob. I did. I got a distributor. I got 3 customers, and I hadn't gotten a customer or distributor in like 4 months. I sat there and did nothing for 4 months. I wrote myself this letter, and I said, you know what? I'm sick of sitting on my ass, and I'm sick of not doing anything, and I'm going to challenge myself to get up there and to work. And then I found Jacob, and I love Jacob, and he is working so hard. And I think the thing that really affirmed for me that I wanted to work this, love you guys, I wanted to work this business and I wanted to grow as a leader, is I took the Myers-Briggs test again, and my percentages changed. And I already saw that after writing that letter, my mindset was different, my percentages were different, and I was ready to work. Because when I first joined this business, I was not ready to work. I thought I was, but I wasn't. And so now I'm ready to work. And so I am going to challenge you guys. This is what I want you to do this week. Is I want you to go to 16 personalities, and I want you to take your Myers-Briggs test, read through your entire personal profile, and then read it again, and then read it again. Do the journaling challenge that Morgan gave me. And then I want you to write yourself a note. It doesn't have to be as harsh on yourself as I wrote it, but I want you to write a letter to yourself of who you are now, to who you are now, from the person that you are going to be in 6 months, writing back down to you and saying, when are you going to get it together? Because I'm up here, and this is where I got, and I need you to get with it so that you can be where I am now. So write yourself a letter to mic drop your own self. And then what I want you to do is, if you have a distributor that's placed under you, is I want you to say, hey, I got on this Zoom. I want you to take the test. I really think this is going to help us work better together. Have them take the test and then read through their profile and then read it again. And if you need to take notes and be like, okay, Jacob is a P, that means he thinks more big picture. So like maybe he needs to be coached in a way of he needs to work on his vision. Okay, Morgan is, a J, so I need to keep organized. So it's going to help you understand your team, because the same way that Morgan works is not the same way that Jacob works, or that Tara works, or that Jade works, or that Tori works. Everybody, we're all different, and our mind works different. And so we're all going to work this business different. So understanding how you work and then being able to pour that into your teams is going to be so crucial. And I really, really, really think that this is going to help. Another thing that I really think is going to help is there was a Zoom that Morgan did. I know we have 10 minutes left, so I'm going to wrap it up. But there's a Zoom that Morgan did. It's her Habits Zoom on December 16th, 2019. It's in the Dare to Be Diamond chat. And I took notes on it. I was in a coffee shop with my little headphones, and I took notes on it. And then I went back and I watched it again, and I took notes on it again. And I compared the notes, and I wrote down the exact same things. And all the things that she said that when I listened to it, I was like, yeah, oh my God, that's so true. I need to do that. I didn't apply it. I didn't do it. And then I went back and watched it, and I was like, why didn't I listen? These are all the things that I was like, yeah, I need to do this. I need to do this to get my business on track. So if you guys are taking your test and you're reading through your profile, but you're not doing anything about it, then nothing is going to change. You can't be passive about it. You got to take action. You got to actually, once you're conscious about what you need to change, you got to change it. You can't just be like, oh yeah, I'm going to change that. Oh yeah, I'm going to change that. But then you're just going to stay the same if you don't change it. So that is my challenge for you this week is, when you're at home and you've got some time to think, is spend some time in your journal, spend some time with your team, and really just start to break apart your brain. And I know that might be scary, and I know it might be hard to put yourself in a place of self-realization and to call yourself out, but I did it, and I never ever thought that when I joined this business I would be leading a team Zoom. Never ever thought that, but I am. And so if you keep putting yourself in that mindset of I can't do things, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to get there, you won't. Sorry, I'm not red, but I'm going to be red, and I'm going to say it. You're not. So really channel your energy into understanding yourself and understanding your teams. And I promise you, we're going to be an ambassador team. I promise. So that's all I got.
Oh man.
I'm very sweaty. It's
so
very humid, but I'm also like fired up. So I'm super sweaty.
That's so funny. You're gonna look like you just took a shower. Wow. That was so good. Like, drop a 1 in the comments or in the chat if you got anything from that.
I gotta go back and read y'all's comments because I was trying not to look at them because I knew I'd get distracted. So I'm gonna read them now.
It's basically just like we love you 87,000 times. So but that was so good, guys. Like, I hope that you don't just listen to what she said, but that you truly do take the steps that she gave you. And I love that she didn't just say like, okay, now go do something with that. Like, she gave us step for step exactly what she wants us to do after this Zoom. And I know for me, I've already taken the test, so I'm going to go and look at my email and reread my thing over and over again, because I did take the test and I read it like she said, and I was like, what did I just read? I have no clue what any of that means. And now I feel like I understand myself better, but I also understand areas where I need to grow, or areas where I'm like, okay, I'm pretty balanced. I understand those. So maybe you're thinking that too. I know I wrote down each of the bullet points as she was talking super fast, but
the good thing is it's recorded, so you can go back and watch it, because I know I talked fast because I had a lot to get in. But
yeah, no, you did so good. Thank you for doing this for us. And really, y'all, go do the 6-month letter thing. I'm so excited to do that. That'll be my journaling tomorrow. And take the test. Do the journaling, the other journaling thing that she said about the list of things that you're stressed out about or whatever. But thank you so much for doing this, Megan. This was very helpful. I know that this took a lot of time for you to just kind of get all your thoughts together and really just study this for us. So we're very appreciative. And I know we learned a lot from it. We're going to be better people because of it. Literally better people because of it. So thank you. And thank y'all for hopping on here. Be sure you give Megan some love